Okay, I'm now recording. Excellent. I'll load up the middle page. So, first of all, I want to start off with a quick apology. This will only be a 1 hour session that I'm going to give you. Then my colleague, Professor Senta, will come over and he'll talk about, I think it is circular economy. The future is circular. He's I forget where about in India he comes from. I'm going to say North India. Could be wrong. He is a material scientist and he is of caliber. He is a high caliber scientist. And he's doing us a favour. He doesn't normally lecture, he's a researcher full time, but he's done me a big favour only because we worked together on one project, but quite a nice one. So he's doing me a large favour, but he'll have to compress this thing into 1 hour to give us time to do this. Right, so problems we had. My first apology is when I put this tutorial up for week 5, or lecture 5, I was meant to have changed that into a turn it in, so you can then see your similarity. Unfortunately, I forgot all about it, didn't do it. So, everyone's got marks. Yourself at the back, you know what your mark is now. I'm not going to have time to go through it and give you written feedback, because I just didn't have it in time. But you know it's good though, yeah? Anyway, so what I've done for you is I put you a similarity report. Now, the similarity report, there's instructions within there. You'll be able to resubmit your document into it. It will not record that within its own database. You'll be able to submit 3 times, and it will give you your similarity report instantly, or almost instantly. After your 3rd time, it will, It will take 24 hours for it to give you that report back, right? That's how it's set up to do. So you have 3, well, I would only put it in once, just see what it's done, because you've already got your marks for that tutorial anyway. Then, for your actual coursework, and what I'd also say is, in your exam, you will not get that privilege in the exam. I don't run the exam. It's a centrally timetabled exam. I will be available at the first X number of minutes at the start of that time period. Have you been told when the exam is yet? Yeah, when is it? 4th of May. Sugar, I better put that in my calendar then. Right, so I'll put it in my calendar. 4th of May, and it's a set time frame. Don't be late, because you don't get the time frame from when you start. The time frame starts when it starts. Okay? If I were you, I would literally come and speak to me before I run away, and I'll book a class. I'll book a computer suite for you if you want. If I were you, I'd come in, not as an exam thing, but just pretending that you're home, but you're an E32 or something. That would be far more sensible, especially for yourself, sir, at the back with the green top on, because then you'll know when you submit it, it will definitely work, because it'll have to be submitted. And if you mess that up, you'll have a problem. So if I were you, especially yourself, I would be using this here. Put something in there anyway, just do it anyway, yeah? And the reason for that is you'll get to see that if your submission actually works or not. If it doesn't, just get yourself in and work in one of the computer labs, or I can book a room for you if you want. Okay, your coursework then. So today I'll be looking at primarily, not the coursework, but the, am I? Yeah, we are looking at the coursework primarily today. But what I've done for the coursework, I've modified it slightly. Not the assignment, but what you can do with it. The deadline is unchanged. Please only submit a PDF file format. If you successfully upload a report, not those that have already done it prior to me making these changes, but what you should get is a similarity score. And you'll be able to see that and interrogate it yourself. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm doing it because I think it might be helpful. And you'll then be able to resubmit as many times as you want up until the deadline finishes. After the deadline finishes, what you've submitted is what's in. Yeah? You will get an instant feedback for your first 3 submissions. After, or your 4th submission onwards, you'll get 24 hours to get your feedback on the similarity score. We only really need to do it once, in my opinion. Submissions after the deadline will be accepted only if you've not already submitted something in the first place. Does that make sense? So people that are running late, now my comment would be I generally don't take marks off of people if they're 10 minutes or 1 hour late, because stuff happens. I know that. However, it's a centrally timetabled exam online. Never done that before. And the guidelines is I am meant to tell you that marks may be deducted. Probably won't, but they might be. If you're more than, say, 1 hour late, and you know you're going to be more than 1 hour late, please email me, right? And don't email other people like James Leake and Alistair Reid. They're not the module leader. Only email me on this, because I don't want them coming to me saying the same thing you just told me. Yeah? Email me, let me know what the situation is, and it's all good. Or it should be all good. But if you don't email me, and you're several hours late, or even a day late, and with your coursework, then problems might occur. The exam, I don't know how that will work. I would imagine it should be okay, but assume that it's not, right, for the exam. Because I've never done a centrally timetabled exam before online. It's always been class tests, which are then controlled by the module leader. Cool. Right. So we understand all of that. The other thing is, this document here, for some of you that handed in the tutorial number 2 for week 5, fantastic. A lot of these are really, really high quality work. Some, 1 or 2 others maybe not as high. If you feel that was you, please read over that document there by Anna Marie Douglas. Right, so let's pull up today's enable editing. Yes. Cool. I don't know what I'm recording. I think I might be recording what's on my screen, but you're getting to see all my notes, which may be relevant or might not be relevant. This one's not. Anyway, this is the last chance that you'll have. It's the last chance that you'll have to talk to me at all about your coursework. We're on annual leave for the next 2 weeks. Then you've got 1 drop-in session. I know currently on the Friday that may fall, I don't know if it does, with something to do with some celebration. So we'll give you out a room number in addition for the Wednesday perhaps of the same week, which won't fall within that celebration. And that'll be a drop-in session into one of our offices, probably my office. But I'll email that out to the whole class. But don't everyone come to my office all at the same time. It's only for those that can't make the Friday drop-in session, if that makes sense, okay? Right, Anna Marie Douglas saw my email that you all got. And she saw there was amendments to the middle page. And she very kindly reiterated this. There's her email address there. She's given you the opportunity of academic support. You can drop in and see her, email her first. Or your coursework. She's happy to happy to proofread only a maximum of 500 words of your document. And to be honest, your document shouldn't be too big anyway. It's only, what, a couple of thousand words, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. 2,500, I think. But she's offering to proofread at least 500 words of your thing. But you have to submit it to her within 5 days of the final submission to allow her time to read it and then get back to you with feedback. Okay, so please take that opportunity. She's been very helpful. Right. Similarity reports. So let's talk about that. I got one of my friends to do me a big favour. I told him what I was doing with it, so I'm not being rude about him. Let's get to my Moodle page. Here. Can you see my Moodle page? No, you can't. Let me just temporarily shut this down. You've got my page now. Okay, so in the coursework, if I just go here, go all. Yeah, so anybody who has already submitted, they will have the opportunity to resubmit as many times as they want. So don't feel that, oh sugar, I've already submitted mine and you're now telling me how to do something mathematical that I've not done. If that's you, don't worry about it. Take what we do today and make it better. But let me show you my one that I put in, and I'll give you the lowdown. Here it's here. So this is actually not an extract. This is actually a report done by my colleague Wojtek. Sorry, I shouldn't have said his name. And we've been paid to literally copy and paste from our own work because we published a book for TRADA. TRADA has changed its name to TD UK. Background's a bit boring. But essentially we had to edit it as we're copying and pasting. But it is our own work. So it's not as if we're plagiarising. And so this is his document. You see it's 58% plagiarised. Actually, that's quite good because I thought it would be near 90 odd percent. I thought it would have been. Let me just show you what 58% looks like. Anything about 40%, 36%, 40%, we will be having problems. Yeah, just so you understand. Right? But depends, because you could get a document that's 40 odd percent similarity report that's absolutely fine because of the references or because of various things. But let me show you what's happened in this one. That's just taken straight out from TRADA, well, our book. I'm published in it as well. And you see all these different references. So you can see it's been pulled from different sources. That's source number 9. A different source. But actually all of these are from, because people have then cut and pasted from our book. Or better still, we've cut and pasted from our own journal papers to make the book in the first place as well. So this thing stretches a whole bunch of our work, okay? But you can see if you look down it, and I quite often see stuff like this, sometimes from students. When you put yours in to turn it in, you'll get to see pretty much what I'm seeing now. And if you're seeing something like that, then you'll know, right, I better go in and change that. Like for example, this one here, all I'd have to do is read it out to myself again, then delete that text and rewrite it as if I'm talking to someone else, and then it'll be your own work. You might have to reference where the data came from, but that's fine. You do that. So you can just see that my colleague here has done a cut and paste job. Right? So please take the opportunity to put your documents into the one for tutorial number week 5, but tutorial number 2. Put it in there, give it a wee shot, and see how it comes up. You might be pleasantly surprised and it's not too bad, or you might pull up a lot of stuff. Now, I did put in the feedback, the written feedback that I gave you. There was about 30 odd people that submitted in, and a number of you, I did pull out some stuff for you. I only gave you and the ones that I did pull out, I only gave you 1 or 2 references that I found. I actually gave you I even gave you the link to where it came from, just to highlight, you need to not do that in future. You're allowed to put quotation marks. Livingston said blah blah blah, quotation marks, and then give the reference number, give the reference using the referencing system. You're allowed to do that. What you're not allowed to do, I think what my colleague's done here, that's just not allowed. That's bad practice. Okay? Now, we were joking beforehand, it'd be about 90 odd percent. The fact that it's only 58, it's not that bad for this situation, but for you, that would be out of my hands. It would be somebody else talking to you. Right. Okay, so that's quite good. That'll give you the opportunity to fix that out. Okay, cool. Your coursework brief, hands up. Who does not understand the coursework brief at the moment? And who wants me to spend 2 minutes going over that? Or do you all understand roughly what's happening? One person, right. Thank you for your honesty, right. Your coursework brief, you have got, I'll load it up. I have to come out of that again, don't I? Now, these slides will be are available for you already. Coursework brief. I'm sorry it's a bit of a wordy document, but let's just cut to the chase. What are you actually doing? There's this, you must be sick of seeing this diagram by now. In every lecture you've had so far, I think. Memorise it in your head, just know it. Another quick note, in your exam, if you copy and paste any image from anybody else in the exam, I'll not mark it. Right? Any images you do in the exam will have to be done by you. The best way to do it, get a pencil out, a bit of paper, draw it, photograph it and put it in. It's the best way to do it, because to save time as an exam, right? That's how you should be doing it in the first place in the exam. If you want to waste time to make it look pretty, then draw it in PowerPoint or something. But don't do that. Don't waste time. But if you cut and paste something like that, and because I might ask you a question about this, if you cut and paste any image and put it in, nah. You'll not get any marks for that whatsoever. I've told you that in the past, and I'm telling you again now, and it's also recorded. So I've got evidence that I've told you that, okay? Right, come back to this though. You will have to pick one action for each of these 5 categories. We went through them before earlier on. You talked about the ones you've chosen. So, once you've chosen your 5 things, you'll then have to do what? Make it a bit bigger. There we are. It's effectively in 2 parts. A narrative one, in which you will write and summarise and utilise the academic references and to demonstrate the critical thinking and the key points for this part. And then there's more details there. So that is a qualitative exercise. Okay? Then the second part, which is the meat of why we're here today, a quantitative one. We have to quantify it. Okay? And there's different ways you can quantify it. I'll give you a bit of a hand with that. So, I'm going to pick one example. You've already identified what my example is going to be, because I know you read it beforehand. Remember that app that I told you to use, which is the paw prints thing? I actually stole the idea from that. Funny that, because I told you to do the same. Right, I stole the idea from that. What am I going to do? PowerPoint. There we are. And slideshow from current slide. So, I found some data, or I found something, right, on that app. And I then thought, well, I better get some sort of reference for it. So I did. Got a reference for it. Well, that's not a reference, by the way. That's a web link. Just make that absolutely clear. I'm not calling that a reference. And if you use that sort of thing as a reference, you need to figure out what a reference should look like. That's the link to where I found that data. And that's actually a government thing as well. So, brushing my teeth. The example that I gave you the other day in the street, when I saw you, I talked about something different. What was it again? Oh, that was it. When you're in the shower, and rather than keeping the shower running whilst you're putting soap in your hair, turn the tap off for a second, soap up your hair, and put the tap back on. We talked about that, and we even saw how much water that would save. Now, the app doesn't tell you it per person, it tells you in a different unit, different way. So, you couldn't use the app as the academic source where the numbers come from, but you can use the app for ideas, can't you? You've already got your 5 ideas sorted. Yep. So we've done that, we've got some data. I then go, now as I say, in my notes on this slide here, I've given you where that comes from, the link to it, and this is actually an academic journal. This table here it comes from. There's the title there actually. That's the title there. I had to Google what that word meant. It just means drinkable water. I had to ask my wife actually, to be honest. And I've highlighted that number there. Now, that number there is the kilograms of CO2 equivalent. You'll also see it written as A1 to A3 sometimes, and you'll also see it written as the embodied carbon. All means the same thing. That's the number that we need. And you also, this paper goes into an awful lot more detail, but that's the number we would have just now. But in the future, our number should be nearer that one there, but that's 2030. It's a target. Will we actually reach that target? Probably not, to be honest. So, there's my number. Right. So what I can do there, I can then start a database up, or a spreadsheet essentially. I can go tap water from the faucet, water from the faucet, cold, not warm, unlike our example that we talked about, because I did have a look at doing the one we talked about, and it'd be a different number you'd have to use, because you start off with this number, plus the energy that it takes to heat it up in the first place, depending on whether it's electric or gas heating, it gets a bit more complicated, right? So, I'll start off with tap water from the faucet, cold. I would put in the GWP, which is the global warming potential, other word for it, embodied carbon. I'll put in the unit for this, and then there's a thing called the FU, or functional unit. I'll show you an example of a spreadsheet database later on if I get time, for a different type of coursework. Functional unit, it is in a cubic meter of water, or 1 ton of water in this scenario. Cubic meter is the functional unit, and that's the unit of the CO2 for that. So, what have we got here? Brushing your teeth using less water. As you're brushing your teeth, turn the tap off. You can save, essentially, that's morning and afternoon. Am I being, 8 gallons per day, potentially. You could save more. I only brush once a day, but don't do that. Sorry. And where I took that data from, it was actually US gallons, so I'll identify that. I convert that to my litres. 30 litres per day, saving. Now, you already made, I don't leave my tap running when because literally I live on a farm. If I do that, my well might run dry. And that's embarrassing when that happens. When it starts again, it goes a bit weird. So I always turn the tap off anyway. But it's an example, right? I convert that into the number of days. So I multiply that number there by the number of days. I then convert it again into cubic meters. I then multiply it by this number we had here, right, which we got from that academic report before, and I then get this, which is my LCA of my tap water that I could save going into the atmosphere over a 28-day period. Because your course works over a 28-day period. Does that make sense? Yeah, all these slides are online for you. Your fingers over the lens as well. You're taking a photo. Sorry, you're taking a photo like that. That's what you were doing. So you got a nice photo of your finger. Alright. Okay. So we've got that. You're going to do 5 such things like that for that pyramid. And then you're going to compare and talk and have contrast about it. That's where my pen comes out. Hopefully this works. Yes, it will. Pen. Just to say, by the way, I've given you that one example. It's quite an easy one. You're not going to use that in your coursework. Okay? That's not going to be used. Yeah, you're fine. You've already got your 5 sorted. But if you have used tap water already, I'm sorry, but don't use my references. Find another source of that number that I gave, which was 48 something 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 4833 or something it was. Find another source for that. You will find other sources because that was based on UK and it was based on 2018. There might be a more recent one. Yeah, but if you are using that, first of all, I suggest you don't. You do something different. Anyway, you'll pick your 5. You then want to compare. Now, what was our number again, just so we know? It was 0.372 kilograms of CO2 equivalent saving. So, where's my pen? An example would be 1 or A. Oh, that didn't work, did it? Yeah, who cares? And then your other example, where's my pen? Blue. That first one was only a small amount of saving. But let's just say you pick something else. Another example, but we're not doing the numbers for it, so you can still use the example. Not one of yours, I already know what yours are. Has anyone done the coursework so far and already picked their 5? And brave enough to tell me what one of the examples would be? Anyone? Right, which one of yours? To reuse diapers, to go back to how we used to do it, yeah. And that's very fashionable at the moment, isn't it? And to talk about that and quantify it and put numbers on it, you'll actually find papers already written on that. And so if you're really quite clever, you'll find all the data you need. Super easy. But it's a great example. And how many diapers do you go through per day? Any mums in the room? How many diapers does a child go through in a day? About you, mum? Oh my word, 6 a day. Right. You tell I'm not a father yet. I'm a godfather right enough, but that's different. That doesn't not the same level of responsibility. Oh, sugar. Right. So, right. I'll try this once more. I hopefully I don't mess it up. I would imagine when you convert it all to because this table is only looking at one thing, embodied carbon, isn't it? So that's going to be CO2 I thought I was trying to be fly. See, during COVID, this actually did work. Right. How you doing? You're almost time, yeah? CO2, kilograms equivalent, yeah? And you then have about 5-8 different examples. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll do 5. You have 5 different examples, and you can then use that table. You can then use that table to talk about it. So you've already quantified it, and you also qualitatively and quantitatively as well, and you can compare why one action yields better results than the other actions. Okay? Does that make sense? Right. I think my time is up. Or is my time up, Sentinel?
No, I think you can go ahead. I'm just
Oh, you're early. You're early. You're early.
Yeah, so I was just walking out.
Yeah.
I need some time.
It's fine. I've got another few more minutes. So, one of the things that apparently, guys, if I'm talking, you're not talking. Guys, I said earlier on in this section that seemed to be rude. When Anna-Marie Douglas was talking before, that was happening a lot. And when Sentinel's here, please don't do that. That is rude, okay? Sorry. So let's go back. Last week, there were people asking about databases. Early on, I talked about databases. You'll have to build your own. I've just shown you how to get one data point. But you'll only need 5 data points, so you'll need 5 different things you have to find the LCA data from. How do you find those? Right. Can I? I can't do that, can I? Here we are. Now I'll go back to the start. I'll not rush too much. So to find that data there, all I've done, literally to start off with, was I googled it. And I literally found that. It could have came from that app that I gave you. And then go back to this. Then I wanted a bit more information about it. So I found this. Again, all I've done there was into the Napier Library Search Centre, typed in some search terms. Actually, what I did do is I wrote in there LCA of drinking water is what I typed in, and I found this, and that table that you saw does come from there. Promise it does. But I find the information that I want. I can then use that as a reference. Yep. So that is the table actually. There's that number there. Okay. So, and then I would literally move it on from there. Right. Where am I now? So we've talked about how to get the data. We've talked about how we would build it up. I do have an example of how somebody else has done this. This is actually a 4th year student who wants to do this module next year, and her current dissertation is exactly what we're doing right now. She had to find hundreds of decks. Now this is not her final one. This is just the one that I saw the week before last. This is her database. She gathered, now all these are links to all of her, I'll just open up one now for you. There's the link there for EPDs, Energy Performance Declaration. That's what it stands for. Now you saw that last week in Ruth Saint's slide, how to find them. So this young lady has found this document, and she's then taken data from it, GWP, F and B, and T. So there's her numbers there that she's taken. That green column, sorry. She's put that into her spreadsheet and create up a simple spreadsheet. That's what she's done. You're not doing it anywhere near as complicated as that. You only need 5. That's all you need, right? So it's not a difficult task, right? And this is a 4th year student as well. And then she then calculates further from that. Another example where people have used the same technology, the same system, I'll show you it just now. Again, this is not what you're doing. This is just an example of what other people have done for different modules. Hopefully this works. This is a decision matrix tool to help you decide what's in the build-up of a architectural technologist in the room will probably understand this. So this is a build-up of walls for a house and different build-up configurations. What they wanted to know was, I'll select that one now. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What they wanted to know was quite a lot of information about it. They wanted the U value, thermal resistance of that wall build-up, 0.157. They want to know the embodied energy. There's the embodied energy for making that panel. And then there's the object's GWP, global warming potential, or captured carbon. Embodied carbon. It also wanted to know some other things as well. And all of that data was using exactly the same system that you'll have to do. There's about 400 data points in there. So it's the exact same sort of thing. But you're not doing any of that. All you need is a very simplistic, pick 5 things, talk about it qualitatively, and then talk about it quantitatively. And that quantitative part is really quite simple. Is anyone under any illusion of what they've a misunderstanding of what they need to do now? Everyone's good? Right, so I've recorded this session. I'm going to hand over to my colleague to give him some extra time. And I'll put this session up on the middle page. So I'm conscious that when we started this class, it was about less than half of what we have now. And there's people that have came in later on that will have missed most of what we've said. So for you, I'm going to upload that. However, the next 2 weeks, our lecturer staff will be either on business or on annual leave. And you won't get any response, I wouldn't have thought. If it's an emergency, you will, but if it's just something to do with coursework, you won't. Please refer to this video and the coursework brief. You do have one last session to help you go over things like the things that you've chosen. You've already mentioned year 5. And that's a drop-in session. And that will be literally but that's only a drop-in session. That's all that is. Now remember, one last time, your coursework is to do these 5 tasks over a 4-week period. So I would say by now, your 4 weeks, if you've not already got your 5 things chosen, you better do it today, right? And then talk about what that effect has on you as well. Like, for example, I said I'm going to drop my showers from 7 a week to say 1 a week, right? I could start off saying I'm going to do that, but by halfway through the first week, I'm going to be, this is bad, this is terrible, or whatever. Talk about it as well, not just scientific papers, but try and live it out yourself, whatever thing is you're trying to do. My example about cleaning the teeth would be, I could talk about it, well, actually I forgot to do it half the time, and the water was still running, because it's a habit. You can talk about that. Right. Is that enough? Any questions? Right, I'll stop this recording now.